Welcome to your next recorded lesson. This time I'm going to talk to you about the American city and American agriculture. Let's start with the city and let's look at the layout of the city first of all. If you look at this is the layout of an American city, and this is the layout of a European city. I chose Munich, which is one of my favorite cities in Germany. If you look at the arrangement of the streets here and here, you notice straight away, not that you probably didn't know, that the street structure is very organized in an American street. For example, in New York you will have horizontal streets and vertical avenues, which all talk about central planning. This kind of central planning also leads to the development of a fairly similar structure in the metropolitan area, which is basically the whole area from the downtown to the suburbs. We're going to look at the downtown, the central business district and its controversies, and then we're going to look at the ghettos and minorities that surround the inner city. Then as we are moving further and further out of the city center, the low-income housing and the industries can be found mixed together pretty much. And then moving a little bit further out of the city, we will find a medium income population living, and the high income population would live somewhere in the suburbia outside the city. So as you can see, there is an economic change in the constitution of the population of these areas. Let's have a very quick look at the inner city, the central city, also referred to as downtown in American English, and of course it's the name we adopted for Dubai's new downtown created around the Burj Khalifa. This is the area mostly characterized by massive skyscrapers. There is no old town to speak of in most American cities, not surprisingly, but each city has a central business district which gives home to the administration, so the local government. The entertainment, most of the entertainment can be found there, and the shopping and the businesses can be found in this area. Moving a little bit further out of the central business district, you would find secondary industries, processing industries like clothes manufacturing or technological manufacturing, mobile phone factories, etc. One interesting development socially is the development of the inner city slums. Here's an example. Moving a little bit further out, you will find the suburbia. This is an image of a suburban city. This is a suburb of one of the big American cities. As you can see, some people travel up to 70 kilometers from the city center to their homes, which obviously leads to massive congestions, but this is not something I have to talk too much about. To people living in Sharjah, the commute is a determining factor in the life of people living in the suburbs, which leads to a very interesting development because the suburbs are becoming more and more self-reliant. They have their own malls, have their own entertainment, education and health facilities, so people need to travel to the city center less and less. This process is called the urban sprawl, as you saw it before, and it basically means that the city takes up more and more of the surrounding area. This cartoon is quite funny, I think. People living in the outskirts of a city far away. It used to be 50 kilometers, and now it's 30 kilometers, and now it's 10. So it really is happening. But again, it's a process that we are quite familiar with here in the UAE. This is a very interesting infographic that raises some very interesting questions. So if you have a little time, check it out in better resolution on the blog, or just pause the video here and just look at some of the data in this picture. I think you would find some very interesting things about the hidden costs of their suburban sprawl. And I found this image as well, which I think describes the process really well. This looks like a big animal that is just spreading its wings more and more. This also leads to a process called gentrification, which is the process of middle-class people moving into inner city parts and turning it into more luxurious, more attractive areas. There's a highly critical comparison of a Starbucks from 2008 and from today, which just shows the process of gentrification. It doesn't go without controversies, so a lot of people are not happy with the process of middle class people moving back into the city. A lot of people say that it's a good thing. So one of your tasks will be next week is to look at the pros and the cons and try to come up with your own opinions and solutions and suggestions about it. With a big jump from gentrification, I will very quickly talk to you about farming in the USA. The book chose one of the most popular crops of the American agriculture, and that is tomatoes. They are tomatoes, as you would probably call them if you lived in the States. So, as you can see, one justification for this is that the Americans eat about 250 million liters of ketchup each and every year. So it's a massive industry to produce all these tomatoes. Most of them come from the Central Valley in California. You probably remember that it's got a very favorable weather conditions, although it needs watering, it needs irrigation. Only 5% of all tomatoes produced in the USA are sold raw, and 95% is processed into salsa, paste, pulp, tin tomatoes, ketchup, you name it. So what is the process? This process is very highly technological. Everything is monitored by GPS systems and computers, and it's coordinated so that the soil gives the highest yield of tomatoes. At such massive scales, obviously 1 or 2% improvement or decline can mean a lot for a farmer. There is a very cleverly coordinated irrigation system helping the farmers, as you can see here or in the picture in your books, which is constantly monitored. The development of the plants is monitored. As you probably know, all tomatoes come from seedlings. Seeds are grown into small seedlings, and these seedlings are then planted into the actual tomato field. Then there is a very carefully adjusted program of fertilization, so making them grow harder, faster, better, and pesticides, which are to stop the unwanted enemies of the tomatoes. So the planting, where this, I think these are obviously not tomatoes, but as you can see, workers are most involved in two processes. One is the planting process, and the other is the harvesting, which takes place. Arguably, Americans are the best farmers in the world. Most of the production, as I said, comes from the Central Valley region in California. This is a beautiful part of the city, of the country, of course. And it's described as agribusiness, so it's a massive industry, and it has three determining factors. One is that it's highly mechanized, so everything is run by everything possible is run by machines coordinated by computers, and it's a highly efficient system. It's a monoculture. There's one product, and this in this case it's tomatoes and nothing else. And the high use of chemicals, fertilizers and pesticides is another characteristic feature of an agribusiness. These agribusinesses are very highly supported by science. Obviously, the computer and satellite technology to watch, record, and suggest improvements to the way it is now. Genetically manipulating or genetically improving the crops is another important contribution of science to growing tomatoes. And of course, water is essential, and saving water is even more important, because one of the highest cost factors, is water. So saving water is another important contribution of science. A very interesting fact that an American spends about 10% of their income on food. The same number in Germany is 21%, and of course poor countries have even worse statistics. But it's very interesting to see that American food prices are really low. Now, going back to genetic manipulation, it's very interesting. It's a very interesting aspect of the scientific contribution. I wanted to show you this map because it shows that it is becoming more and more of a challenge to sell genetically modified crops, although most of the world is still red, where there is no form of GMO-free platform. But there are more and more places on Earth where there are laws restricting GMO production and consumption, and there are countries, most importantly Russia, where there are national bans on genetic manipulation. So it's Poland and Switzerland. Austria. That's Austria. Hey, well done, Austria, where there is no GMO production. So this is it for today, and very quickly, the questions that I will be asking you are about the common parts of the inner city, gentrification, tomato growing process, which two periods of the tomato growing process need additional resources, and this will be your tasks: illegal immigration, GM crops, gentrification, and the process of producing ketchup. Thank you very much, and I see you in class. Bye.